Shut up and sit down.
Hello, my friend. You are listening to the Dance Studio Scaled podcast, the number one place for innovative marketing, retention strategies, and business growth ideas made just for dance studio owners. Now, this isn't your average business podcast. We're here to shake things up, simplify the hustle, and focus on real, actionable insights. I'm your host, Jen Dalton, and after 30 years of running studios, coaching owners, and scaling businesses, I know one thing's for sure. There's no one size fits all in this industry. You've got the passion, and I've got the tools to help you take it to the next level. So hit that subscribe button, grab a coffee, and let's scale your studio together. Welcome back to this week's episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sitting here right now just about to record this episode, and I'm looking out my window and it is the most perfect autumn morning. You know, the sun's out. I can see the trees on my front lawn. They're starting to change color. They're starting to drop. It really is beautiful to stop for a few minutes and just really take in the beauty of and the simplicity of life, because for me right now, I'm in the depths of planning out our retreat for my mastermind girls. And so it has just been decision after decision. I am making micro decisions every day, but then on the back of that, I'm also making some really big ones as well. And, you know, these decisions are going to be affecting the future, my future. It's going to be affecting the future of my clients. So there's a lot of pressure when it comes to making decisions. And that's what it just reminded me of, how much of a toll it can actually take on us. You know, sitting in that continual questioning, that continual uncertainty, it really is exhausting. And I truly believe it can lead to burnout if we don't get on top of it. You know, and I know for myself, when I'm in this particular stage or season, I find it hard to focus on other things while, you know, I have to make these big decisions and micro decisions of what's happening right now. And so that's what I thought I'll base this episode off, because maybe you can relate, you know, those decisions that we're constantly having to make. And they are a mixture of the small ones and those big ones. And I don't know about you, but there's things that I know should just take 2 minutes, but somehow they're taking 20 minutes, they're taking 45 minutes. And by the end of the day, for me, I'm physically exhausted. And it's not like that exhaustion from teaching and managing people or running classes. It's just that mentally, I'm done. I'm just so exhausted from that. So that's what this episode is based around. For you, maybe right now, you know, it looks like little things like, you know, sitting at your laptop and maybe you've got just an email to send, right? But then you write that email and then you end up rewriting it 3 times because you're just not quite happy. Or maybe you sit down to plan content, but then you're second guessing every post, every caption, every video. Maybe you're looking at your timetable and just keep adjusting things and then changing them back. Maybe you are just continually thinking about your pricing and your offers and your team, but nothing is feeling clear. They're just different ways that after speaking with studio owners over the last couple of weeks, that's what they're identifying. And so off the back of that, you either delay the decision or you'll make a quick one and then just come back and question it later. You know, I'm laughing, I'm smiling now because I've come out the other end of it. But, you know, let's just name it. This is decision fatigue. And it really is one of the biggest reasons that we as studio owners, we stay busy, but without actually moving the needle. Because when your brain is overloaded with choices, everything else starts to feel more complicated than it needs to be. So even those really simple decisions, they start to slow you down. But here's what's really going on. You know, you're making so many decisions as a studio owner, and we have to, right? We're running a business. We've got lots of people we're looking after. We need to, you know, be taking care of our family and our friends and life. But we're doing it without a clear filter for how to make them work in the most efficient way for us. So every choice feels like we're carrying weight. Should I do this or should I do that? Is this the right move? What if this doesn't work? And because there's no clear direction, you're just relying on energy and motivation to push through, which works until it doesn't. Okay, successful studio owners, they don't avoid decisions. They just reduce the number of decisions that they need to make. Now, how do they do this? Basically, there's three simple things. They create clear priorities, then they'll identify simple systems and processes, and then they'll find repeatable ways of doing these things. So instead of deciding from scratch every time, they're going to follow a structure. And that's what then frees up the mental space, right? So think about this in your studio. If every week you're asking yourself, what should I be posting? What should I be focusing on? What should I be training? Where should I be spending my time? What needs my attention first? That's a decision problem. But if you already know, Mondays are for social media content. Thursdays are for checking in the numbers. This month, we as a studio are focusing on retention. So if you have that already set out as a plan in your calendar, whether it's by the week, by the month, you then can remove the need to decide. So that's just taking away one more decision if you've already got that mapped out for you. And that's probably the most simple way to get started with reducing those decisions that we have to make so that you can then just simply execute. Now, this is the decision between operating and leading. So operating is when you're reacting to what's in front of you, where leading is deciding in advance what actually matters and sticking to it. So even when things are trying to pull your attention, you just go back to what it is you know and just trust your process at the time when you had like nice clear thinking, and you just follow the bouncing ball and trust the process that you have in place. Now, I know this is easy to say and it's easier said than done. I've literally, as I just mentioned at the beginning of the episode, have been in this season of lots of big decisions. And so I remember very recently the toll that it takes. And so I appreciate that it's not as simple as just get in and do it. I know, I lived it. However, I do know that I could rely on all my processes that were in place. I could just go to my calendar and just this is what I have to do, just tick it off. This is now what I need to do, just tick it off. And that was what got me through over the hump, essentially, to be back to, I'm calling myself normal, but how many of that are actually normal? But I will say this, most studio owners, they don't need more ideas. We just need fewer decisions. Because right now, your energy isn't going into growth. This is when you're constantly figuring things out. And the reality of our year, if you're listening to this in real time, is we're in a season now where hopefully your foot's off the accelerator about growth and reaching out to new leads. And we're going into that more big picture thinking, planning for, the future, what's coming up. And I don't want to scare anyone, but within the next month or so, we almost need to be starting to switch our mind to the next year, which I don't want to scare anyone, but that is the reality. But this is what we're working in with this season. So if you can get this if you can get your decision processes sorted now, then it's going to help as you go into that big picture thinking. So again, practical, I'm hoping to give you some steps. Where is it that you'd start? So instead of asking yourself, what should I do today? I want you to ask yourself, what decisions can I remove this week? So have a look at your to-do list or check out your calendar, whatever it is, wherever you're tracking your tasks, and just say, what on this list can be systemized? What can be scheduled? And what can be simplified? Because every decision that you remove create space then for better ones. Now, if this is where you are right now, that constant thinking, that constant deciding, constant switching between tasks, it's not actually a time issue. It's really a clarity and a structure issue. And this is the work that we do inside the mastermind. And as we're heading into retreat, we are going to be focusing on these things. And it's just about simplifying. It's about streamlining and just getting really clear on what matters right now. And we just basically, you don't have the space to carry everything in your head. So getting it out and having a plan is the best way moving forward. So if this is resonating with you right now, I would love for you just to sit down, grab a tea or a coffee or a wine if it's appropriate for you, and just take 30 minutes, an hour, list out what are your clear priorities right now. And then identify those systems and those processes that can support you with them. And that's where you're going to start. You don't even need to build out these processes and systems yet. I just want you to identify them because that's where it's going to start. So you want to list your priorities and then you want to identify what processes and systems can support you. All right, I would love if you have the opportunity to take this and implement it straight away, because you just remove a few decisions this week and just you will see the change mentally for yourself and energetically. And just watch what opens up because of it. All right, friends, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you have a super great week and I will be back in your ears next week.